part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
The 1-1 pitch. A swing and a drive to deep right. Away back. Goal!
And with that Hemi call, it is time for another episode of Guardians of the Land MLB podcast. I am Mike Vorhies, and with me, as always, sounds a little different this week, but Bryan Shaw, welcome into the building. Bryan, what's going on, my man?
Still not the pitcher, Bryan Shaw, but yes, I brought my sexy phlegm, as Phoebe Buffet would say. I have a little bit of a cold. I feel fine, but yeah. So we just went a little bit lower on the octave scale, and maybe we can just talk into the microphone.
There you
like
go.
This.
Ooh, I like it. We're bringing sexy back here on Guardians of the Land MLB
Hi, everybody.
podcast. Part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Are in first
I love
place.
it. Yes. I think you need to repeat that one more time. Can you repeat that?
The Cleveland Guardians are in first place in the AL Central.
Who'd have thought that after 12 games, folks? I know I didn't. I don't think Bryan Shaw did as well. Your Cleveland Guardians 7-5 after 12 games. We've had Mother Nature wreak a little bit of havoc, canceling 2 games against the White Sox this week, but the Guardians able to make them up. We sweep a doubleheader, and
that was incredible.
Yeah.
I was able to go to the second half of the first game, and then I was there for the second game. So I missed the 9-run second inning. But they did add another one on. That was an incredible game, incredible couple of games, especially because the White Sox were supposed to be this powerhouse, and they outscored them something ridiculous like 17 or 20-5 or something along those lines along the 3 games.
It was insane.
You would have thought at the beginning of the season, you would have thought it would have been the opposite, that the White Sox would sweep us. We'd score 5 runs over 3 games. Not this offensive explosion that the Guardians have had.
No, where did this
games
come from? So let's back up a little bit. So the last time we recorded, the Guardians had played 2 games against Kansas City, and it was looking a little rough. We had scored 1 run in 18 innings and wasn't looking, or 20 innings or 19 innings. I think we had 1 extra inning game that we lost, but yeah, it wasn't looking good. And then all of a sudden the team just lightning in a bottle. They just rattle off 4 straight wins. The offense looks unbelievable. The legend of Stephen Kwan has come to fruition, or King Kwan, as I like to call him.
Kwantumania was one of my favorites.
I mean, I've seen so many. This kid is unbelievable. Such a joy to watch.
I want to pat ourselves on the back on that one. We had said the kid was going to be the real deal. We were talking about his approach at the plate, and I mean, you never would have thought he would have come out the gate like this.
A rookie.
I mean, it was
what was the stat? How many he was on base? How many consecutive?
He had the best start ever in Major League Baseball when it comes to a player.
Yes, this guy, he just has one of the greatest plate disciplines I've ever seen. He doesn't swing at a bad pitch. He's only struck out 3 times all year, 2 of which have been called third strikes. And I believe 1 was actually a foul tip caught by the catcher, third strike, which counts as a strikeout. So those 3 strikeouts, it's just unbelievable. We might be looking at the American League Rookie of the Year. I know it's early. It's April. I get that. But Stephen Kwan.
Yeah. And I want to point out that if we had all had our way about trading for outfielders and getting other guys in here, or signing a Jock Peterson or somebody,
right,
Stephen Kwan wouldn't be on the team.
No,
he'd be in the minors right now. Now there is a Cleveland Guardian that has a better strikeout percentage than Stephen Kwan. Do you know who it is?
I'm gonna guess Jose Ramirez.
5.7%. Kwan is 6.4. They're 2 and 3rd in Major League Baseball when it comes to strikeout percentage.
And hasn't Jose Ramirez now been American League Player of the Week twice?
He's on a tear.
Yes.
He's got a 4.72 on base percentage. His OPS is 1.3. He has 2 grand slams.
Right. We're not even out of April yet. And yeah, 2 grand slams. He's got 4 home runs, 20 RBIs, 5 doubles, triple. He's hitting basically 426. He's carrying this team right now.
He's basically leading every offensive statistic in Major League Baseball. And so are the Guardians in many aspects, at least the American League. They're number 2 in total hits behind just the Mets. They're first in runs. They're second in batting average behind the Rockies. They're second in OPS behind the Rockies. They're third in run differential behind the Dodgers and Mets. And that's all offense. That's not even talking about the pitching, which, by the way, the total pitching, 5th in ERA in Major Leagues.
Right. Yeah. Now, we didn't see this coming. Like, if you'd have told me when we recorded a couple weeks ago that the Guardians would be 7-5 and in first place, I'd have asked you, number 1, to see your medical marijuana card. And number 2, I would have asked you to share, because I honestly, after those first 2 games, Brian, I was writing them off. I'm like, well, we're in for a long season.
Sure.
If
and
this
so
team
was all of Twitter.
If this team doesn't hit, oh my goodness, this is going to be awful. Oh no. And then the offensive barrage starts where we've scored 33 runs in 4 games against Kansas City.
Yeah. Now there's going to be some regression to the mean.
Yeah.
But still, to know that they can do this. Like I said, the White Sox series is a perfect example where the White Sox is supposed to be the offensive powerhouse. And that is where we kind of flipped the script on them. And then to be able to sweep all 3 games and take the division lead right now, I think is huge. The one there's 2 spots where I think they're a little bit lacking right now, and one of them that you had pointed out last time.
Yep.
The reliever ERA is still at it's a respectable 3.19, but that's 18th in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
So there's been a couple of guys that have had some rocky outings, and I don't quite like what I've seen with some of the defense so far.
Yeah, and I think that kind of falls back on Tito a little bit as he's trying to find this lineup that works. I mean,
have we seen a consistent lineup
right
in any game? They've been all over the place. There's been 5 different players play second base,
including Gabriel Arias, who got called up as the doubleheader 29th man, got his first career major league single. And I shouted out Gabriel Arias. He's not on Twitter, surprisingly. I'm a little shocked by that, but he's not on Twitter.
Good for him.
I think, some days I agree. I think we're going to see him quite a bit. He came up for those 2 games. He played second. In game 1, he played third. Game 2, played well. I mean, I was pretty impressed. I know he is a very touted prospect, and you and I have said it, he's going to be back. It's just a matter of not if, but when. And this team has to figure it out. We've got a few guys that have gotten off to terrible starts. Bobby Bradley, our opening day first baseman, he has now only started, I now think, in 2 games. We got to see him. Well, I'll take that back. 3 games. He played opening day. He started 1 game against the Giants, and then he started, I believe, game 2 of the doubleheader on Wednesday.
I'm actually surprised. And it could be, we did lose some guys to COVID right now. We have a few guys on the COVID list, but I had thought that we maybe had seen an end to Bobby Bradley, especially with Owen Miller's surge. He's basically,
oh my goodness, where did he come from?
He is doing this season what we had thought he was going to do last season when he was called up. Because don't forget, in the minors last year, Owen Miller was batting like 500, and he's batting 500 now. And he leads the league in doubles with 7 doubles, and he doesn't have nearly the at bats as some of the other guys do, right? Because he hasn't been playing every day. But now he's on the COVID list. Hopefully he'll be back soon. We lost a couple other guys, but Owen Miller basically he just took a stronghold on first base, and that's why you haven't seen Bobby Bradley.
And now, and then the return of
Josh Naylor, and he's been hitting well so far. and has quite a few key RBIs.
Right.
Specifically, I think that was yesterday at the time of recording this, when the Guardians were up 4-1, I believe, and then they had some defensive blunders and basically gave back a couple of runs. And Naylor was like, "No problem. I'll just give us a few insurance runs."
Right.
So yeah, Owen Miller batting .500, leads the league in doubles. Has 2 home runs himself. So they've got guys that are showing up. Even Oscar Mercado, I'm still not like, I guess he's fine as a platoon player. He's showing his bulk up and his power, and also has a grand slam and has 3 home runs, but he's still only batting .233. It's not great. There's a couple other guys that are struggling too, one of which will absolutely come out of it. Fran Mil Reyes, he just had his first home run. He's batting only .191. It's his plate discipline right now that's not great. I
think he's trying too hard. He's trying to match what Miller has done and Kwan has done and Ramirez has done. He just needs to get into that zone, and I think we saw a little bit of that yesterday. He singled, and then he had his home run. I think he's slowly coming out of it. We're in.
And he's always been a streaky player, but he needs to stop swinging at garbage outside of the zone, which is at 26%. He's swinging at pitches outside of the zone. I guess we could have also expected this, but another player that needs to take some eyeball test lessons from Stephen Kwan and Jose is Austin Hedges. He swings at 31% of pitches outside of the zone.
I was going to wait. To talk about Mr. Hedges, and I will real quick. So what I want to do real quick, I want to recap some of these games, because the last time we recorded, we had just lost 3-1 on opening day to the Royals. We come back, we play again on Saturday. They lose 1-0. And then everybody's in arms going, "Oh no, this is going to be a long season." We come back on Sunday, April 10th. They win 17-3, Brian, 17-3. Unbelievable outpouring of offense. We follow it up on Monday, 10-7. We win against Kansas City. Now that game was a little sketchy. Clase got roughed up a bit, almost kind of gave the game away, in my opinion, but he settled down. We travel to Cincinnati. We take both games from Cincinnati. We win 10-5 and 7-3. So everything's looking good. Then the Giants come to town for the home opener. I'm pretty excited. I think you were too. You went to the Friday night home opener, and I want to get your thoughts on that here in a second. But the offense just absolutely fell off. And I think everybody panicked. We get swept by the Giants at home, and everybody's like, "Oh no, burn the ships. It's over. Torch the stadium."
I think that was twofold. It was cold.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little windy. They never play great in the cold. And the Giants are a very good team.
They won 100 games last year. They were a playoff team. The starting pitching that they have is incredible. Carlos Rodon, who pitched for Chicago last year, we faced him a lot. He owned us, and he goes to San Francisco, and he owned us again on Friday night. What do you have? Like 11 strikeouts in 7 innings. Like we couldn't hit him at all.
And then you could wonder too, and I don't think this may not be the case, but there's always that thought of maybe they were feeling themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
And they took the foot off the gas. And then after that Giants series, they came back and was like, "All right, let's get back to what we should be doing." And then that's what you saw in the White Sox series. But yeah, go on.
So, and obviously we take, 3 games from the White Sox. I'm not going to complain about that. I love the divisional games when we can get wins. And now we're sitting in first place. But what I want to do, Brian, I want to take a break. And when I come back, I'm going to tell you why the Guardians are better than what the offense says we are.
Oh, that's juicy.
It is. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
For the Dennis Maniloff Show, I'll tap into my 40-plus years of following Cleveland sports and 30-plus years of writing and talking about them, so as to bring you informed opinions and analysis of your favorite players and teams. I also will monitor the national sports scene and, when warranted, step out of the toy department and into the real world. And I'll always be on the lookout for special guests. By all means, join us.
The R&R podcast going to be rocking and rolling with you because football season is underway. College, Ohio State, the Power Fives, the MAC, the Browns. Michael Regai, are you ready to rock and roll with some football?
Kenny, I've been ready. This is our time of year. This is what R&R is all about. We're going to be with you every week. Kenny just said it. Browns, NFL, Ohio State centric. So you got to stay with us all fall and winter long here on R&R.
That's right. The Regai and Rhoda podcast coming to you here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Subscribe now and don't miss a show.
All right, Brian, we're back. And before we took a break, I said I'm going to tell you why this team is better than what the offense says we are.
That's a bold statement because I think a lot of people would be very thrilled with this start if you had said this 3 weeks ago. I had said on Twitter, if you would have told me that they would score 33 runs in 3 games or whatever it was, especially after the first 2 outings. And some people were like, I'd tell you it's just the first 2 weeks. I was like, no, the time frame has nothing to do with it. Like, you wouldn't have believed me if I would have said they were going to score 33 runs in 3 games.
Right.
And then a couple people chimed back and said, you don't get as excited as people were low after the first 2 games. And then I agreed with that completely. And I have said, especially when it comes to Major League Baseball, like, basically at the minimum, you're going to have 60 to 70 very bad days.
No, absolutely.
So you can't get too high. You can't get too low. You got to try and stay even keeled. But this team is exciting. The young players are exciting. They're fun to watch. The offense is fun to watch. I like their approach. They're putting balls in play. This is kind of old school baseball where it's not just strikeout or home run. They're stringing together hits. And I wonder if that's a factor of the new hitting coach. You're leading right into what I was going to say. The reason this team is better is I think everybody now realizes how bad Todd Van Berkeley was last year and the year before. This team had fallen off offensively. We get Chris Valleca from the Cubs. The Cubs have always been able to hit. They did well when he was in Chicago. We bring him to Cleveland, and I think what he's taught these guys is, wait for your pitch. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're not, most of them, minus Hedges and Reyes, they're not swinging at garbage. And if they are, it's a borderline pitch that they're fouling off. They're getting deep into counts. They're getting the pitch counts up of the pitchers, and the guys in the broadcast have brought this up that it's kind of this opposite. Just because you're putting a ball into play, and maybe the analytics doesn't say that it's going to always end up being a single, but look at that game with the White Sox when they had how many errors and just throwing mistakes, and they're kicking balls in the dirt. You just need a couple of those to get through. Mm-hmm. One to go off a glove, one bad throw, and all of a sudden you're starting to rally.
Yeah. As
opposed to strikeout, pop up, home run, strikeout. Right. I mean, that you got one run in there, but it just seems like the they're just trying to put balls in play. They're not always swinging for the fences. And if it comes, it comes. Like, if you put one over, Jose did one. He hit a home run opposite field. He didn't do that all of last year.
Right.
And that just came on a good swing. He was just trying to put the ball to the opposite field because he was trying to get a sac fly in. And it just ended up going over the fence.
It is. This team, obviously our starting pitching, we touched on it a little bit. You know how much I care about our starting rotation. I think Shane Bieber is one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. And I mean, when you've got Bieber, Plesac, Quantrill, McKenzie, Savali, they've all started well out of the gate. These were guys that we needed desperately. And we didn't have that last year. That's the reason the team went 80 and 82.
Right.
We have these guys. They're healthy. They look good. Tito is not overusing them to the point where they have that limit. And obviously spring training was a little late, and I get it. And I'm fine with this. And I actually think this is great. That's the reason you've got players like Eli Morgan and Sam Henches and Logan Allen, the guys that can eat up 2-3 innings so that you don't have to have your pitcher throw 90 to 100 pitches in April when we're going to need them in July, August, and September.
Yeah. What's nice is you do have those guys that have starting experience from last year because of the injuries. And like you said, when one of the starters gets their pitch count up and it can only go 5, and because it looks like right now Tito's kind of cutting them off at about 80, 90 pitches. Because keep in mind, this would only be week 6 of spring training.
Yeah.
So in most cases, they're not even fully ramped up yet. It's really good that they're able to have some of these guys that kind of have that long inning experience because they were getting spot starts. And then also because of COVID and because of some of the rain delays and stuff, the rotation is kind of all over the place right now. And we're going to have some young guys making a spot start.
Yep. Unfortunately, we lost Cal Quantrill. He is on the COVID list. He joins a newly acquired reliever that we got from the Blue Jays, Anthony Castro. And then, we're gonna see some of these guys. Eli Morgan actually gets the start tonight against a very good New York Yankees team. The Guardians, their next 7 games, guys, I think this is going to tell you where we are. You've got the Yankees for 3 games, and then we're in Anaheim for 4 games. Or Los Angeles. I don't know what they're called. Are they Los Angeles again? They were Anaheim now.
I think they're Los Angeles of Anaheim.
Great. So we'll get our first look at most likely Shohei Ohtani, which obviously he's one of the best players in all of baseball. Two-way Shohei. I'm not going to at all try to downplay what he has been able to do. But I think these Guardians are going to have 7 games coming up, and then we've got a couple with the AAA Oakland A's. But you can't really go against Oakland because they've come out of the gate swinging too. They've done really well to start the year. They're not as bad as I think everybody thought they would be.
Yeah. This road stretch is going to be a little bit tough. Yeah. I do think if they're not getting, I think people, at least nationally, think that this is an anomaly right now. And if you can take somehow 2 of 3 from the Yankees, especially with having these spot start guys like, with Eli Morgan and with Kirk McCarty, if you somehow pull off 2 of 3 from the Yankees, I think they'll start to turn some heads, and especially if the offense keeps it up too. I don't know what the weather is going to be like in New York. I don't know if it's chilly out there this weekend or if it's going to be warm like it here is going to be here in Cleveland. I probably should know that.
With you being a meteorologist, yes, you probably should. But I'm not going to hold you accountable for that because, that's
it's New York weather. But either way, as long as it's not rainy and cold, I think they can keep up with it. And it's exciting that we're talking about, this is a big series for them. And they need to show up against the Yankees and they need to show up against LA, as opposed to it just being kind of an afterthought or a secondary thought. And, you had wanted my thoughts on, opening day.
Yeah. What did you think? Obviously the new name, new logo, the different atmosphere. The team kind of started slow, kind of picked it up. What was the atmosphere like in Progressive Field?
So it was a blast. I hung out around the Clevelander and Whistling Keg in that area, and tons of people around. Some of them were there for the Cavaliers game, but it didn't seem as much. I'd say it was like 80% Guardians fans, 20% Cavaliers fans hanging out in that area. Because given it was a playoff play-in game, I think most people were going straight to into the game unless they were in other places. Most people were wearing the gear that they had. They were wearing their Indians gear. I did see a lot of Guardians hats with the new C, occasionally a t-shirt or a hoodie. But I have every jersey giveaway from the last 4 years. I have a game worn Bryan Shaw jersey. Like, I'm still going to wear those. Yeah. And I wanted to wear, and they had just announced the Jose extension. It was, it got out, but the team announced it. And so It was like, I want to wear my Jose jersey. So it was exciting. It was warm for most of the day. And then there was a bit of a wind shift and it got really chilly down in the ballpark. I'd say probably around like 4th, 5th inning. The one thing I did notice was during Take Me Out to the ball game, there was a kind of like an uproar of people yelling Indians instead of Guardians.
Well, yeah,
but I mean, people had fun. And so then the other thing I want to bring up is that unfortunately the Cavaliers didn't make it into the playoffs, and now the Guardians are playing well. I think they're going to start to get some more eyeballs. I think
I hope you're right on that. I really do.
I think people are the people that were saying, I'm not going to pay attention and I'm not going to go to the games. Maybe they don't go to the games, but if they're playing well and they're playing exciting baseball and they're scoring runs, people are going to be tuning in.
Yeah. To answer your previous question, I looked up the weather for New York this weekend. Today,
thank you, meteorology, Mike.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's always, I'm dabbling in it. Absolutely. Today is 67. Tomorrow is 60 degrees, and then Sunday is 61. So it'll actually be warmer.
So it'll be just
here.
Fine.
Yeah, I think we're in for a treat. Obviously, this team is,
as long as it's not like 40s and rainy. That seems to be their kryptonite, and they can't do anything.
Man, and I don't blame them. You could pay me a crap ton of money too, and if it's cold, I'm not going to be able to produce.
I heard Andre Knott say that the guys were taking their bats and putting them by the heaters before they're at bats.
Wow.
In some of those colder games.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to watch. I came home Friday night after doing the church visiting for Good Friday. I was able to watch the game. It looked so cold, and I was glad I was at home, able to watch it from my couch. I was able to tune in on Saturday and Sunday, and I wish the outcomes would have been a little different, but I understand it's April, and I'm trying to maintain optimism. I think this team is going to turn a little bit. I think that we are going to see them fall off and then pick it back up. It's like a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, it's definitely it's the old adage. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Right.
They're not going to score. What did they score 7 last game, or was it 6?
No, they beat the White Sox 6-3.
Okay, so before last game, they had either scored 2 or less, or 7 or more. Right. So now it's 6 or more, or 2 or less. They have not scored 3 runs. They have not scored 4 runs, and they have not scored 5 runs. Like that is a bizarre statistic to where they're just so up and down.
Right.
What was nice was, of kind of one of those low scoring games, they did pull it off. They pulled off a 2-1 against the White Sox. They're all those lower scoring games, they're not losing all of those.
Right.
They're able to pull it off. Like, they don't need to score 6, 7, 8 runs to win the game. And that's on the pitching. So even if it does regress to the mean a little bit, and you're still going to average, even if it's 4 runs a game, that should be enough with this pitching staff.
Yeah.
To give you enough victories.
And we're going to see this bullpen. I know that Tito has kind of adjusted things a little bit on the fly. We've seen Shaw early. We've seen Shaw late. We've seen we
Trevor
still haven't.
Stephan has
Shout out to Trevor Stephan.
He's kind of filled in that Karinchak spot,
right,
which we haven't heard much of on how he's doing in his rehab. But if that's the case, and you can have a nice late inning combination of a Stephan Karinchak Clase, the bullpen can come together because let's not forget, the bullpen may be struggling a smidge right now, but they're still figuring out guys. Anthony Goes has done very well, the converted outfielder,
right. He's looked great. I mean, you look at Logan Allen, Sam Henches, Eli Morgan, those guys have actually been okay out of the bullpen. So it shows that we've got a little bit of flexibility. And as long as, like I said, if our 5 starters continue to play well and our bullpen doesn't have to get taxed like it was last year, and then you've got Karinchak, who may or may not be back. Clase seems to be figuring it out. Bryan Shaw is like a fine wine. He seems to get better with age.
Cutter just gets faster and faster the older he gets.
It does. And I mean, I'm excited. Now, mind you, this weekend is going to tell the story. Jamison Tyone pitches for the Yankees tonight. I believe it is Nestor Cortez on Saturday, and then Garrett Cole on Sunday. So two of those three pitchers, with Tyone and Garrett Cole, they're very good. And it'll be interesting to see how this offense fares against them. I don't know a whole lot about Nestor Cortez other than he throws hard.
Yeah. And Garrett Cole's struggling right now. Yankees fans are not happy with him.
He got torched his last start. So, I mean, anything's possible. I'm excited. I'm in. They have caught my attention. I was very depressed after the second game, and I remember texting with you going, it is going to be a very long season. I hope we can find things to talk about. And then all of a sudden, the legend of Stephen Kwan and Ramirez tearing the cover off the ball, the starting pitching coming together, and then the team, most importantly, getting hits, scoring runs, being amazing to watch. Like this is a fun time to be a Cleveland Guardians fan.
And this is kind of what we had been talking about in our last 2 episodes of like, this is what they've been building to.
Yeah.
There's all these guys, and I hope they start to trim the fat here soon.
Yeah.
There's a couple of guys that
they're going to have to, because May 1st, the roster goes from 28 back to 26.
Yeah.
So we're already going to lose 2 people. And then you wonder if that's the time where players that are struggling, like, I know Brian Lavastida will most likely go back down when Luke Maile is cleared. He's in Columbus on his rehab assignment, so we know that's close. Catcher is a glaring hole right now. Austin Hedges has 2 hits on the season. I'm hoping he figures it out. I'm nervous. I'm wondering if the Guardians have something in the works. Maybe. I hope.
Are there any catchers available?
I don't know. I'd find one. I'm not saying any. I don't want people to think that I'm bashing Austin Hedges. I'm not.
He's batting 100. I mean, he's also a career 200 hitter.
Right.
So
he is an amazing defensive catcher with a cannon of an arm. Just offensively, he's not that guy. If you're looking for him to hit 250 with 20 home runs, that's never going to happen. We're going to be lucky if Hedges hits 200 this year. We'll be lucky.
His approach at the plate bugs me.
It does.
Like
you would think as a catcher, it'd be better.
It's like he just goes up and closes his eyes and swings the bat. And 1 out of 10 times he makes contact.
Yeah.
He's swinging at garbage, and especially low in the zone. I have this image burned into my brain of his uppercut swing where he drops down to a knee, and he does it all the time, and it drives me nuts.
I don't understand. I don't understand what they're doing, but like you said, I agree. We went this entire episode and we didn't even talk about Miles Straw.
Right. So that's a huge point. Miles is batting 326, and is he got I don't think the extension had come, or maybe it did, but they gave him an extension, and that just goes to show that there's so much to talk about right now with these guys after just 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That we didn't even mention Miles Straw. We didn't mention, him being lead off, and it's a great 1-2 punch of Straw and Kwan to set up Jose for RBIs.
Right. And then you figure Fran Mill's going to figure it out. Ahmed Rosario, you can pretty much plug him into the 5th spot. I think he's going to play shortstop for the rest of the season. I don't think that we're going to see him out in left field unless we absolutely have to. I think he is your shortstop. I think the Guardians need to figure out second base. Is it Owen Miller? Is it Andres Jimenez? Is it a platoon? Yu Chang's involved.
Is it Ernie Clement? Ernie Clement's also been
forgot
hitting.
About Ernie. Yeah. And then you've got Gabriel Arias, who they let play second base. So you're going to have options. Bobby Bradley, figure it out, man. I want to see you play. You've got power, but you cannot be consistent. Is Naylor now the first baseman? Is it going to be Naylor and Miller in a platoon?
There's a lot to iron out.
This team's got choices and decisions to make, and we're only in April. This is the funny part of it is, Brian, is this is the fun stuff to talk about. They're going to have to make some questionable moves going forward because we know what our 40 man looks like. You can't really add a guy to the 40 man unless we know Chang and Bradley are both out of options. So you can't send them to AAA, guys. That you're either going to have to trade them, release them, or luckily sneak them through waivers and nobody picks them up. And then you can send
them back down to AAA. But
right,
that's kind of the nature of the beast. Is that eventually this is going to happen where you have to make tough decisions and you kind of have to move on from guys. And they probably are going to get picked up by, a Baltimore or
Pittsburgh,
which seems to be Cleveland minor right now. They got Greg Allen. They've got
Roberto Perez
over there. Yep. They have quite a few guys.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. Buckle up, guys. We're in for a great ride. It's only the end of April. We got a long way to go. So I am really excited. I can't wait to talk with you again soon, Brian, about where we're at after the next 7 games. Where are we? Are we still on cloud 9, or are we looking to sell out of Cleveland? And I don't see them going 0-7. I don't. They're going to pick up some wins. I hope they do. I hope they take both series so they can get the attention that they deserve. This team is so much fun to watch. It's exciting. Tito Francona is an incredible manager. Chris Valleca is doing a phenomenal job. Carl Willis is the pitching coach, is doing a phenomenal job. So we're here. Let's enjoy the ride. We're all witnesses, right? Isn't that what Cleveland's known for? We're all witnesses. We're witnessing it right now, guys. I don't know. I got nothing else.
Yeah, we've said several times, it's an exciting time. I think this team can do something. And if they can continue to, be a few games above 500 and be first or second in the division, I think they'll make some moves at the deadline. So we'll talk about it in a couple weeks here, and we'll see. We'll keep reassessing, and hopefully there's still good news. Hopefully hopefully we're talking about Fran Mill hitting 5 home runs in the next 2 weeks, or something else kind of coming out of nowhere, coming up strong. So it'll be in May. We'll have some roster decisions by then. So there'll be quite a bit to talk about in the next couple of weeks.
All right, Brian, let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
I'm Weather Shaw on Twitter. Then you can also find me on Facebook, Brian Shaw. That's where I'll post the podcast and some information. We have the Guardians of the Land Facebook page. We are Guardians Land on Twitter.
You can find me at Mike Vorhies on Twitter as well. Until next time, friends, it's the Guardians of the Land MLB podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. Enjoy the evening.
Talk to you guys in 2 weeks.